What's going on, everyone? So, the Los Angeles Lakers, right, got their starting center from the Portland Trailblazers, not via trade, but buyout and then signing. But Lakers are still engaged in guys like Robert Williams. I've gotten several reports that the Lakers have reached out and had conversations about a potential Robert Williams trade. I get it. Right, Lakers could still really use kind of a backup center, somebody that could slot in, trust a little more than Jackson Hayes, right? Robert Williams, the biggest problem with him is he just can't stay healthy, right? If Robert Williams can stay healthy, I mean, dude, the guy is an absolute wrecking ball, like everything this team needs. Interior, just presence, shot blocker, can defend in space, rebound the basketball, be that lob threat. I mean, he's ideal. I mean, you make an argument to start him if he could stay healthy. Like if you had a crystal ball and you could see like, hey, he's going to play 70 games and, be fully healthy throughout the playoffs, sign me up for Robert Williams. But the problem is you don't have a crystal ball and the guy doesn't give you more than, 20 games a season. And that's the problem. That's the dilemma. I still don't hate the idea of you trading for Robert Williams, but it's got to be at the right price. It has to make sense. And in my opinion, I think if you're going to trade for Robert Williams, you need to trade for Matisse Thybulle. Matisse Thybulle, I want more than Robert. I mean, I'm fine with the Lakers just trading for Matisse Thybulle, right? You're talking about one of the best just perimeter defenders in all of basketball. He doesn't really have the height that you necessarily want to slot in at the three, but he has the wingspan. I mean, he has a 6'11" wingspan and he's 6'5", right? So he's not like, he's long, he's lengthy. That's why he's such a good defender, because he has just this insane wingspan and he's athletic and physical, kind of do all the things out there. So he's a guy that can defend 1 through, 4, really. I mean, sometimes, some occasions, even the 5. Not like, I'm not talking about like full on like defending the 5, right? Like, look at a guy like Dorian Fish, like he can defend 1 through 5. I'm talking about like he gets switched. He can at least, because he has the wingspan, make things difficult with his wingspan and athleticism. It's also worth noting, he shot almost 44% from 3-point range on 3 attempts. Now, to be fair, right, he is a career 34.3% 3-point shooter, right? But he has had seasons, right? He had a season in 2022, 2023 where he shot 39% on 4 attempts. So if he could be, I'm not saying he has to be 44%, but if he could be around, 37, 38% on like 3 or 4 attempts, sign me up for Matisse Thybulle, right? Like I would take that all day. And like honestly, you could look at Portland. If you can get Thybulle and Robert Williams, go bring in like a DeAnthony Melton, you solve most, if not all, of your issues. Also, Matisse Thybulle might not be, or he shouldn't be, worth anything close to what you'd have to give up for like an Andrew Wiggins or anything. And if you get a guy like a Thybulle, it kind of gives you a little more leverage to go, well, hey, we'd love to have this guy, but we don't need him anymore because we got Thybulle and we can just slot Thybulle in at the 3. Right? He can be the guy that defends and is that point of attack guy for us. And he's one of the better in the league at it. Right? He also is an expiring contract, right? He opted into his player option this year for $11.5 million. So he's cheap enough where the Lakers just go trade for him. Right? I mean, you could just swap a guy. Right? Now, I wouldn't give up a first or, even like a connect or anything like that. But could you do something where you give up like a pick swap or even like 2 pick swaps? Right? Like, I don't want to see the Lakers just kind of willy-nilly throw away their pick swaps. But if you could do something where it's like, hey, we'll give you, a Gabe Vincent for look, they're a team that wanted Jared Vanderbilt, right? Sucked to kind of get rid of Jared Vanderbilt, but you get off of his long-term money, right? And go get a Matisse Thybulle, which, he doesn't have the size and the length, but he has the defense and a better shooter. Even if he is like a career 34, even if he gets back to his career, it's still better than Jared Vanderbilt on many nights, right? So could you maybe do something like that where you're turning Jared Vanderbilt into a Matisse Thybulle? Or if you bring in, a Robert Williams III, then maybe it's one of those things where you're kind of doing a bigger package. But I still, even if you were to get Robert Williams, I still wouldn't give up a first or Dalton Connect, because again, Robert Williams, both guys have injury concerns. Right? Both guys are guys, and they're also both flight risks. Right? Both guys can just leave you in free agency next year. Right? Both guys are on expiring contracts. You look at Robert Williams, he's making $13.2 million, so let's call it 14 and 12. So you're talking, you need to send out about $26 million. I mean, you could do like Maxi Kleber and Gabe Vincent with like a Shake Milton, and then there you go. You can basically get both guys, right? And then, maybe at that point, maybe give 2 or 3 pick swaps, right? Because you kind of solve your backup center position. You solve your perimeter help on the defense side of things. You kind of do a 3-for-2 swap. So you'd also free up a roster spot, right? Rather than just having you could argue maybe you give up somebody else, right? Because you could just waive Shake Milton, and then you could kind of just bring in De'Anthony Melton and then maybe another player later on down the road, or if you pull off a trade. You still could technically go get Andrew Wiggins, right? Like, imagine if you had, I would love, I would love if the Lakers had something where it was like Luka, Matisse Thybulle, Andrew Wiggins, LeBron James, and DeAndre Ayton, especially if Thybulle could get back to shooting 43% from three-point range, or even like I said, 38% from three-point range. Because again, he is an excellent defensive player. I mean, he's built an entire career on just being the defensive piece. Right? For a guy that has been very inconsistent, has had some really bad years shooting the basketball. So for a guy to still be in the league with as poor of a seasons as he's had shooting the basketball, he's also 28 years old. Right? So, not in a bad way, like, oh, he's 28. Like, no, like, he's still young enough to where he could be a piece for the next few years. You give him a new contract and it's fine. But like I said, you have seasons where, he shot like 30% from 3-point range. Right? And again, like, with the Lakers, you're playing alongside Luka Doncic and LeBron James. The quality of looks that you would get if you're Matisse Thybulle is, it's unlike anything else, right? Like, you're wide open. So if he was ever going to kind of replicate that 44% 3-point shooting season, it's probably playing alongside Luka and LeBron James, right? So, if you could maybe work something out with that. Problem is too, though, with these kind of like expiring contract guys, is if the rumors are true, which seem true based on the contracts for Jake LaRavia and DeAndre Ayton, that they want to preserve cap space for 2027. So the problem is that, like, let's say you go get Thybulle and you get a Robert Williams III, or let's say you just get Matisse Thybulle, right? Are the Lakers really going to give him a long-term contract? Right? Because they want to keep their cap flexibility. Now, you could argue, it depends on the contract, right? If you could sign him 4 years, $40 million or something like that, or $48 million, where it's like, it's justifiable, it's cheap enough to where it's like, hey, you're probably going to need a guy on that contract regardless, whether you get a star or not. Right? Maybe, but it depends. It also depends on, like, what is Thybulle looking for in his next contract? How much is he looking for in his next contract? But I really like the idea of Matisse Thybulle. If you can land Robert Williams III as well, then fine, so be it. It might be one of the cheaper options for the Lakers. And that's kind of why I really like the idea and kind of lean towards the idea, because, like, there's other kind of pairings. Because I talk about it all the time. It's easier to kind of solve everything in one trade than it is multiple trades, because every team wants kind of the same thing. Right? But it's hard. You can't give everybody the same thing. So you have to convince one team to take less or do others or take another guy or whatever. Like, where if you just go to a team like Portland, it's like, hey, we want Robert Williams and we want Matisse Thybulle. You're going to lose them for nothing. Wouldn't you rather, 3 pick swaps than nothing? Right? Nothing. Especially if you're a team that's expecting that you're expecting to be good, right? You want to be better in the next few years, don't you? Right? So, in 3 years, you think you're still going to be a bad basketball team, right? Like, and even if you are, right, at least, again, it's better than nothing. At least you got something rather than just sitting on your hands getting nothing, right? So if I'm the Lakers, can you maybe pull something like that off? Because you have the expiring contract, so it's not like one of those situations where it's like, oh, well, you're taking on long-term money or anything like that, right? The only reason I mentioned Jared Vanderbilt earlier is because they wanted Jared Vanderbilt in a potential Jeremy Grant trade. Was that because, it's like, Jeremy Grant, we're losing Jeremy Grant, right? So, I don't know. It just, if they're still interested in it, then sure. But I've talked about Robert Williams a ton, so I want to kind of go over Matisse Thybulle and what he brings to a team last year. Problem is he played 15 games. Started in 5 of them, played 21 minutes per game, shot 47.7% on 6 attempts, 44% from three-point range on 33.2 attempts, shot 52.5% on 2.7 attempts, EFG of 59.7%, free throw shooting. He was 47 or 40, basically 47%, 46.7% on 1 attempt. Now he is a career 66.1% free throw shooter, but it's on half of an attempt. So he's not a guy that takes a ton of free throws, but still, it's pretty bad. Rebounding, 3.5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2.2 steals in 20 minutes. 20 minutes, he got 2.2 steals, almost a full block, and 7.5 points. If you can go get Matisse Thybulle, I think you go get Matisse Thybulle with or without Robert Williams. But as always, this is a discussion, pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. I enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.